What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden here. What's going on, everyone? Hope we are all doing extremely well today. I am most certainly doing well as the Mets are doing good things. The Mets took 4-4 from the Pittsburgh Pirates, so obviously there is no major complaints when it comes to that. Phenomenal series. I know the attitude on last stream was definitely not positive, and well, like I said, 4 good games can certainly change everyone's mindset, and yeah, it pretty much did. So let's get into that. But before we get started, everyone, please smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, tell your friends about this channel where we go over all Mets and baseball news. I know it says Mets talk, but it's really just all baseball at this rate. So yeah, we will be going over all of that great stuff in today's stream, which is the New York Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates series summary. We're going to be summarizing what went wrong, what went right, what did I like, what didn't I like, all of that great stuff in today's stream. So yeah, we are going to go over that. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything related to the Mets, the Braves, the Texas Rangers, whatever, drop it below and we will get into it following my little rant. And then also we will be talking about the New York Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers series preview. We're going to be previewing that. So yeah, like I said, let's get into that. Added a little fancy banner there, right? Why not? Let's be fancy, right? So yeah, let's stop wasting any more time and let's dive into it. So the New York Mets left Citi Field and left their fans happy as the Mets took 4-4 from the Pittsburgh Pirates, getting things started on game one. The New York Mets won game one by a total score of 7-1. Obviously, Carlos Cookie Carrasco was on the bump for the New York Mets. Carrasco, a phenomenal outing to say once again. 6 innings, 4 hits, a run, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts. Definitely to say that Carrasco had his stuff on, certainly, no doubt about it. Simply enough, 104 pitches overall, with 64 of those in the strike zone. So no secret to say that Carrasco definitely was on his A game. His slider looked good. He was mixing up his pitches really well. Got out of the first inning clean. We know that's really the thing that will determine if Carrasco has a good outing or not. So good to see him getting out of the first inning good. And yeah, otherwise, no major complaints with Carrasco. Like I said, his slider was on point. He was mixing it really well. Limited barrels, limited hard contact. It's something that Carrasco has had a fair share of issues with. The long ball, the walks were not there. So good outing from Carrasco. No complaints. Following that, Lugo came in. Lugo, an inning, 3 strikeouts, 13 pitches, 10 of those were in the strike zone. So really tip of the cap to Seth Lugo. I mean, this dude is really getting his stuff back together. I mean, he is really going to be an important X factor for this Mets team down the line. And his changeup is phenomenal. The spin rate, the RPMs on his changeup is really back to what we're seeing. So you hope that, Lugo can continue to stay consistent. And if he can, you definitely could feel much more comfortable about this New York Mets bullpen, considering that right now, you only have so many options. And like I said, if you get Lugo back in, listen, if you can get him back anything near his 2019 self, then you could definitely expect really some big stuff, simply enough, from this New York Mets team. So yeah, like I said, Lugo looked really well. No major complaints when it came to Lugo. And then following that, Dolly Rodriguez came in for 2 innings in relief. Good to see him get those 2 innings in relief. Looked good with 2 strikeouts. So yeah, pitching did their job. Only 1 run given up. Like I said, four hits overall. Mets pitching did the job. Pirates offense, not so much. Getting into the offense definitely was on fire, as we could see. 7 runs, 10 hits. Very important to see that. It was a special day. There was a lot more buzz around, a lot of energy in the building, to quote Lindor. They were grinding at bats, obviously. They were simply enough grinding at bats. It was Roberto Clemente Day. Everyone was wearing 21, obviously to pay homage and remembrance towards Roberto Clemente, a great icon to the game. But getting things started with the offense. In the first inning, Daniel Vogelbach decided to create some run creation. He had an RBI double to deep right to bring in 2 runs in Pete Alonso and Jeff McNeil to make this a 2-0 ball game. So really good to see in the first inning. Something that the Mets have been prone to do is really beat up these opposing pitchers in the first inning. They get the opposing pitcher's pitch count to be high. They score in runs. And simply enough, that's what every good offense should do, and they did that. Good to see Vogelbach. We'll get into him. He had a phenomenal series, but yeah, definitely good to see him thrive. Following that, in the third inning, Francisco Lindor really broke out and had a 2-run homer to right, 396 feet to bring in himself and Nimmo. Heading on into the third inning, Daniel Vogelbach had an RBI single to right to bring in Jeff McNeil. On into the fourth inning, Mark Vientos with his first major league hit, which was an RBI single to right to bring in Nimmo. So good to see Vientos starting to produce a little bit. He's hitting the ball hard. So like I said, hit the ball hard, good things will happen. Heading on into the eighth inning for the last and final run of this game, Pete Alonso gets hit by the pitch with the bases loaded to bring in James McCann. So the Mets getting hit by pitches, something that we have seen 101 times this year. So definitely nothing new. So yeah, like I said, Mets score 7-1. Carrasco with his 15th W on the season. Getting into game 2, the Mets win this game by a score of 4-3. Obviously, Taijuan Walker on the bump for the New York Mets. Walker with a dominant outing, a much-needed outing. Walker was really pumping it out. 7 1/3 inning, 5 hits, 2 runs, 0 walks, 5 strikeouts, 100 pitches with 65 of those in the strike zone. Really another dominant outing from Taijuan Walker. Really, splitter slider was on point. We know that. We were saying, is he going to throw the splitter slider? We expressed that he had that little blister on his hand. So, is that going to be a deterrent from him throwing it? But nah, he went out. He was throwing it. He looked good. His split finger was being thrown hard. The velocity was up there. His fastball slider combination was there. 5 strikeouts, so a lot of ground balls. And that's something you really like to see. So another phenomenal outing from Taijuan Walker. Definitely much needed. I know a lot of people have been panicking about him in the second half. So, like I said, it's against the Pirates offense, so you have to take it with a grain of salt. But like I said, when it comes to Taijuan Walker, free agent year, pretty much every outing is really going to be vital for him. It really is. Heading on into that, the bullpen came in. Edwin Diaz came in into the 8th inning, something that we have seen a couple times this year. Showalter definitely taking a new approach with his reliever and obviously putting in Edwin Diaz, who came in for 1 2/3 of an inning. Usually we don't see 1 2/3. We see 1 1/3 at most. And yeah, Diaz looked pretty good for the most part. 1 2/3 inning, giving up a walk, 2 strikeouts. Something we've been seeing with Diaz a lot is he would come into the 8th inning, get an out or two, then go into the 9th inning and maybe look a little rusty. Probably just more, could be a mental thing, could obviously be a consistency thing. Obviously, getting, that out or two, going on the bench for 5-10 minutes, and then coming out. So a little inconsistency could be kind of the thing where maybe he could have a hard time in the 9th inning. But he looked good. No secret to say, Edwin Diaz, once again, looked phenomenal. Really coming into clutch once again for this New York Mets ball club. So many good things to talk about with Diaz. Like I said, phenomenal year from him. So, yeah, obviously that is good to see. But heading on into the offense, the Mets scored 4 runs, 7 hits. Definitely probably one of the lowest performances this series, which really says a lot. Heading on into the run creation here, getting started in the 3rd inning, Tomas Nido has an RBI single to shallow right center to bring in Eduardo Escobar. So, like I said, we're seeing this offense really get taken by the catcher's position, something that the Mets have not seen a whole lot this season. Really, catcher's offense was pretty much dead for a lot of the season. And now we're seeing Nido going 7 for 11. I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, who would have thought? And James McCann also isn't putting up too hard. He's not putting up horrible numbers offensively. I don't like to use average, but this dude was batting 175 a month ago. He's batting at least 220 now. And, it's exceptional, I guess, to the extent. So, yeah, like I said, definitely big to see your offense get helped by the catcher's position. Like I said, you don't want it to be an end position. So, yeah, heading on into the 4th inning, Daniel Vogelbach had a solo home run to center, 399 feet. Heading on into the 6th inning, Pete Alonso had a sacrifice fly to center to bring in Brandon Nimmo. And for the 7th inning, Brandon Nimmo has an RBI single to left center to bring in Eduardo Escobar. So the Mets win this game by a score of 4-3. You like to see that. Taijuan Walker winning back-to-back games for the first time in 2 months. So definitely a much-needed win. No secret to say. Obviously, decent game offensively. Pete Alonso got his National League leading 113th RBI for the Mets. So good to see. Jeff McNeil making a rare appearance in right field, something you do not see. And talking about Jeff McNeil in right field, He saved at least one run with that spectacular catch that we saw against O'Neal Cruz. Definitely could have opened up this ball game for the Pirates, but no, he made a phenomenal catch. Like I said, could you make the argument it was going to be robbed? It maybe could have hit the orange line, but hey, definitely a robbable play. So good to see Jeff McNeil making some great catches. Obviously, Walker looked good. Diaz looked good. No major complaints there. Mets win this game by a score of 4-3. Taijuan Walker gets his 12th win of the year, and Edwin Diaz with his 30th save of the year. Getting on to game 3, the Mets win this game by a score of 5-1. Chris Bassitt on the bump for the Mets. Bassitt, 6 innings, 3 hits, 0 runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. Bassitt, another phenomenal start, 94 pitches, 63 of those were in the strike zone. Got some swinging and misses, got some whiffs. Looked really good for the most part. Stranded runners when he definitely needed to. Mixed up his pitches really well. That's something that's a good thing for Bassitt's success. But yeah, like I said, 3-0 lead already Bassitt got, and pretty much was permitted to 3 hits and 8 strikeouts. So once again, another really phenomenal start for Chris Bassitt. Only 6 Pirates reached base, and only 2 of them got to third. So like I said, he was good when it came to keeping them in scoring position, didn't let him score. So once again, phenomenal outing from Bassitt. He's going to be a huge guy, especially for the Mets down the line. Following that, David Peterson came into relief, something that I think we're going to be seeing a lot more considering the Mets' lack of left-handed pitching in the bullpen. So Peterson came in 2/3 of an inning. 2 1/3 of an inning, giving up a hit, a run, 4 strikeouts, 26 pitches, 19 of those were in the strike zone. So we see he pounded the strike zone, something that he had a hard time with his last couple appearances in a starting spot, is finding the strike zone. He located the zone perfectly. Like I said, only 7 of his 26 pitches were, considered a ball or out of the strike zone. So like I said, Peterson, the strikeouts were there for him. The ground balls were there for him. He had one unfortunate solo home run, but you had a good enough lead. So yeah, didn't really make a difference. And then following that, Adam Ottavino came in for 2/3 of an inning, giving up 1 walk and 15 pitches. So pretty clean and quick outing there from Adam Ottavino. So really good to see. Heading on into this offense, like I said, 5 runs, 5 hits. Nothing too crazy, but like I said, when you hit home runs, you don't need to score a lot of runs with home hits, with home runs, obviously. But getting things started in the second inning, Eduardo Escobar had a 3-run homer to right center, 426 feet. So that ball was moonshotted to bring in himself, Pete Alonso, and Daniel Vogelbach. Heading on into the 6th inning, Brandon Nimmo had an RBI walk to bring in Tyler Naquin. And in the 8th inning, for the final run of this game, walk to bring in Eduardo Escobar. So good to see the Mets, getting the bases loaded and walking. Really selective at bats, something you like to see. Really important. 8 walks, something, Mets haven't done a whole lot this season. Obviously, Nimmo with 2 walks, Alonso with the walk, Cano with the walk, Vogelbach with 2, Vientos and Escobar with 1 apiece. So really a good night, when it came to plate discipline. And, of course, Bassitt with his 14th win on the season. And getting into Game 4 and the final game of this 4-game series, the Mets won it once again. As we could see, the Mets won this game by a score of 7-3. Yesterday's game, where Jacob deGrom had a phenomenal outing. Obviously, you kind of got to read in between the lines when it comes to the runs scored. 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, 0 walks, 13 strikeouts. Something that we've been seeing so many times. deGrom, double-digit strikeouts. Nothing new. 101 pitches, 68 of those were in the strike zone. Had a little, long time in the first inning, obviously. Was this close to giving up an O'Neal Cruz home run, which was a double. But like I said, was able to strand him for 3 consecutive batters to strike out the next 3. Nothing new. But yeah, deGrom, a little bit of a long first inning. Obviously, 25 pitches in the first inning. So a little bit of a long inning for Jacob deGrom when it came to the first inning. Maybe could have affected him, like I said, later on in this game. But overall, phenomenal outing from deGrom. Really unfortunate that he kind of got, a little screwed, when it came to him in the 6th inning, something that I do kind of want to talk about a little bit later. We'll talk about it now. Going into the 6th inning, obviously, no runs, stranded, let 2 guys on immediately. Collins and Delay got back-to-back hits. And then O'Neal Cruz with, just so much raw power, just really didn't even swing the bat fully, and hit one to right center, as you could say, for a 3-run homer. Questionable move, on Showalter. There's two ways to look at it. Do you trust Jacob deGrom, Cy Young caliber pitcher? Do you trust him to get out of it? He's been on a roll. We saw he didn't really get many guys in scoring position, but for the few times he has this season, he's been able to really, get out unscathed. We saw the last appearance when he faced the Pirates in Pittsburgh in that first inning. He had bases loaded and 1 out, and he was able to get out of it unscathed. So Showalter, was really thinking to himself, do you have trust in DeGrom? Do you have trust in him? Do you let him do his own thing? And the simple enough response, sorry about that. And the simple enough response is, yeah, you do. But unfortunately, in this case, it did not work out so well. Following that, Seth Lugo came in, an inning, a strikeout. Dolly Rodriguez came in. Dolly Rodriguez, a really good series for this guy. I will say for the least, the slider was looking good. The arm extension was there. 2 innings, 5 strikeouts. Tip of the cap for him. And then following that, Trevor May, an inning, a hit, a strikeout. One key note to bring on, 20 strikeouts by Mets pitchers. DeGrom with 13. Lugo with 1, May with 1, and of course, Dolly Rodriguez with 5. So that'll translate to 20. So really good to see the Mets pitching staff get 20 strikeouts, something that they have yet to ever do. Obviously, they have had their record at 19, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, that was really good to see, no doubt about it. And then following this offense, let's get into it. In the first inning, Jeff McNeil got in on some action. Jeff McNeil had an RBI single to right center to bring in Brandon Nimmo. Heading on into the second inning, Jeff McNeil with some more action. He had an RBI walk to bring in Luis Guillorme. Heading on into the second inning, Pete Alonso had an RBI single to right center once again to bring in Tomas Nido. And heading on into the eighth inning to crack open this ball game from it being tied, Brandon Nimmo had an RBI single to left center to bring in Gore. And then to really just continue to expand that lead, Daniel Vogelbach, who had a phenomenal series, we'll cover him in a minute, had an RBI single to center to bring in McNeil and Nimmo. And then to cap things off, Escobar, fundamental baseball, RBI ground out to second to bring in Pete Alonso to make this a 7-3 ball game. Dolly Rodriguez with his first win on the season. Obviously, he was a bullpen guy. Unfortunate DeGrom was not eligible for the W. Something we've seen so many times too often when it comes to DeGrom is he just gets screwed when it comes to that win-loss record. I get it. Win-loss record is kind of a dumb stat in my opinion. The pitcher can only do so much, and considering that obviously they can't hit offensively, it's really out of their hands when it comes to win-loss. I don't need to go over it, but yeah, unfortunate to see, but good to see the Mets winning 4 out of 4 ball games. And, it's crazy to think about. Last stream, everyone's on here, huffing and puffing. And, I was too. I, kind of had to take a breather and kind of rant off. And I said, Mets control their own destiny. And that, if the Mets took 4 out of 4 from the Pirates, everyone would forget the Cubs series. And clearly everyone did forget the Cubs series because no one's talking about it anymore. Everyone's talking about the Mets about to clinch a playoff spot, which we will get into that. So once again, really interesting to see once again. Turn this off, actually. So yeah, now let's get into the New York Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers series preview, as the Mets are going to Milwaukee to play a 3-game set against the Milwaukee Brewers, who definitely, have some interesting stuff to go on for them. So let's take a dive into the New York Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers series preview. So getting into it, the Mets are coming into town with a record of 93-55, one of the best in baseball, and of course, an away record of 43-29. Once again, one of the best in baseball, so you really do like to see that, of course. So yeah, obviously, no need to go over the Mets. We know how they've been. But when it comes to the Milwaukee Brewers, they've been having some tough luck. Obviously, they're 78-68, so, 10 games over 500. 41-28 at home. So, pretty acceptable numbers. But the issue is they are falling out of playoff contention, as they are only 2 games behind the 6th seed San Diego Padres for that last playoff spot. They've really been having a hard time there, really. Offensively, you look at the Brewers and, they're a team that don't have a whole lot of, high offensive talent. They're a team that really relies on pitching, whether that's Corbin Burns, whether that's Brandon Woodruff, whether that's Peralta, whoever, Williams, whatever. They really rely on their pitching. I mean, you look at the Brewers' last 5 games, 1, 2, 3. They're 3-2. Obviously, they won the series against the Yankees, but lost the series against the Cardinals. So, I mean, we're going to see. I mean, offensively, this team has been scoring some runs. Like I said, 8 runs yesterday, 6 runs a couple days ago. But yeah, offense is really a big thing to this team. They're only batting .235, OBP at .316, slugging a .411. So, I mean, this is a team that definitely relies on the long ball, 202 home runs. So, we'll see how this Brewers team operates. Like I said, really big on their pitching. Obviously, Peralta and, of course, that, extra, 6'7" starter type Eric Lauer are on the 15-day IL. So kind of a blow for them. But getting into it, tonight's game, 7:40 Eastern Standard start for the New York Mets in Milwaukee. Mad Max Scherzer will be on the bump for the New York Mets. Scherzer, 9-4 on the season, 2.26 ERA, 0.92 WHIP, 127 and 2/3 innings pitched, 153 strikeouts. When it comes to Scherzer, definitely a guy you feel comfortable to have on the mound, considering the Mets have an opportunity to clinch a playoff spot tonight with a W. So you definitely feel comfortable with Mad Max Scherzer. He's an ace. He's a veteran, Hall of Fame future. You don't need to give much of an analysis. Easily capable of mixing up his pitches. Plenty of strikeouts, silly strikeouts, goal side slider, plenty of whiffs. We're going to see it all tonight from Scherzer. Like I said, limit the long ball. Occasionally he'll give up some solo homers, but otherwise no major concerns when it comes to Scherzer. And for the Milwaukee Brewers, they will have Corbin Burnes on the bump for them, who is coming off of a Cy Young year. Definitely still, decent numbers. No doubt about it. 2.97 ERA, 0.98 WHIP, 179 innings pitched, 219 strikeouts. So not horrible. Long ball has been an issue for him this year. 22 home runs, definitely up there when it comes to MLB. So, yeah, hopefully he could really try and just work on that. Like I said, the Mets have guys who are slugging lately. Escobar's been hot with the home run ball. Alonso's definitely there. Vogelbach's coming out. Nimmo's swinging the bat a little bit more aggressive. Obviously, you have Lindor. So many other guys in this team who are capable of hitting long balls. So, maybe you take advantage of that tonight. So that is game 1, 7:40. Getting into game 2, which is tomorrow's game, will be on TBS. Interesting. That is a 7:40 start as well, Eastern Standard Time. The Mets will have Carlos "Cookie" Carrasco on the bump for the New York Mets. That'll be exciting to see how Carrasco could fare against this Brewers lineup. Obviously, Carrasco, 15-6 on the season, 3.7 ERA, 1.29 WHIP, 141 innings pitched, 143 strikeouts. Carrasco, like I said, is having a pretty good season for the most part. Biggest, success for Carlos Carrasco is get out of the first inning cleanly, keep that pitch count low in the first inning. When it comes to Carrasco, I really feel the first inning is what determines, his start overall, to say for the least. So, yeah, I mean, overall, Carrasco could have a clean outing in the first inning, keep that pitch count low, keep his slider intact. You could definitely expect a really nice performance from him. Obviously, if the offense does back him up. But yeah, like I said, he's been looking pretty good for the most part. A lot of light contact. The walk rate's low. Strikeout rate is also low, but trust your defense. And yeah, obviously, Brewers starter is to be determined. Could be an opener. We'll see how the Brewers take this. And getting into game 3 in the final game of this 3-game series, which will begin at 2:10 Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. The Mets will have Taijuan Walker on the bump. Walker, 12-4 in the season, ERA at 3.42, WHIP a 1.18, 142 innings pitched with 111 strikeouts. Like I said, for Walker, pretty similar stuff to the analysis. I mean, he has a ton of great pitches in his arsenal that he is definitely capable of using, whether that's the four seam, the sinker, the cutter, the slider, the split finger, which he is, throwing much more. According to Baseball Savant, he's throwing that 27.3% at the time. So definitely an increase, from what he's been throwing in the past. He's not giving up a whole lot of barrels. So like I said, limit those barrels, limit that hard contact, get a lot of weak contact. Ground balls, and if he could have a strikeout day, who knows, maybe we'll see a day where he could strike out 10-11. We saw it in the Marlins game. If his high fastball's intact, the splitter slider's intact, his velocity's there, we could see plenty of whiffs, plenty of swinging and misses, and like I said, good day for Walker. And obviously, the Milwaukee Brewers will have Adrian Hauser on the bump for them, who is having a okay season, nothing too crazy. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Obviously, in terms of the Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers, like I said, Brewers, a big team that relies on pitching, not crazy offensively. You have a couple decent bats in there. I mean, Rowdy Tellez, 31 homers, not horrible. I mean, Christian Yelich is definitely not as horrible as he used to be. OBP is back up to 362. When it comes to Yelich, his power's not necessarily there, but he's still walking a lot. He's still getting on base somehow, whether that's singles, hit by pitches, which are the two big things. He's getting on somehow. Here, give me 1 second, guys. All right, yeah, so we'll see how things can go there. Obviously, for the Mets, obviously, we know how their offense is. But getting into the three guys that I expect to have a really good series against this Milwaukee's team, getting things started with, I think the first guy, probably, I'm going to say, is Eduardo Escobar. He has really been red hot lately. He's swinging the bat much better, changing up his stance, having a much more tightened swing that's really helping him out. Like I said, he claimed he changed his swing, and we're seeing different results. So, I mean, hey, you got to, I guess, believe it for the most part. So, yeah, obviously looking at Eduardo Escobar in the last 7 games, he's been doing pretty exceptional for the most part. Daniel Vogelbach, Eduardo Escobar, in the last 15 games, we'll go with 15, 21 hits, 5 homers, 10 ribbies, 5 walks. Strikeouts, 11. He's striking out a decent amount, but still 375 average, 426 OBP, and a 714 slugging. So he's getting on base. He's walking. He's hitting for some power. So you'll take that. So I think Escobar is prone for a really good series, to say for the least. He's tightening up his swing, definitely changing it. Getting into the second player that I think will have a great series. Once again, pretty obvious, but it's Jeff McNeil. He's been hitting the ball extremely well and playing great defense overall, too. The last 15 games, McNeil in 52 at-bats, obviously has 6 runs, 17 hits, 9 ribbies, 8 walks, 2 stolen bases. So we're seeing McNeil steal a little bit more. I know it's not crazy, but still. 327 average, 433 OBP, and a 365 slugging. So the opportunities for McNeil to drive in runners in scoring position has really been coming to effect with him. Obviously, 9 RBIs in the last 15 games. I know McNeil's really been thrown a lot. McNeil's really been thrown around in the order a lot. The whole season, whether he's batting leadoff, whether he's batting second, third, we've seen him bat cleanup. We've practically seen him bat everywhere in the order throughout his whole career. Primarily this season, he's really been in the 5-6 hole, mainly you could say 7. Not because, he's poor offensively. He's phenomenal offensively. He just, Mets have so much depth, and they like to add that high average guy behind your power hitters. Interesting. That's how Showalter goes about it. If you didn't have a Marte or Lindor, and like I said, Marte's out, so we've been seeing McNeil batting third. And I like that. I think that's where McNeil belongs. I really do. I think he's considered a table setter, like Nimmo, like Canna. And I have no problem with him batting higher in the order. So McNeil, the run creation, him driving runners in scoring position has definitely been there for him. So hopefully he can really continue to thrive and have a really good series against the Brewers. Like I said, he's really hitting the ball well. So like I said, we'll see how things can go for him there. And obviously, let's see, my third and final player, I'm going to go with a little bit of a hot take here. Well, not a hot take, but I'm going to go with him and Daniel Vogelbach. Obviously, Vogelbach has been really stressful for the Mets, obviously. He had a great first week since joining the deadline, but really was quiet afterwards. And now this Pirates series, he really exploded. Getting into it, the last 7 games, we'll say. 18 at-bats, 3 runs, 7 hits, a homer, 6 ribbies, 7 walks. So we're seeing him walk plenty. 389 average, 560 OBP, and a 611 slugging. So he's getting on base. He's taking walks. Crazy enough, a guy with that much power is taking walks. Pretty much has a walk per game in his last dozen games. So you'll take that. He's getting on base. He's hitting. So yeah, really big Pirate series. Hopefully he could transfer that over to his former division rival in the Milwaukee Brewers. And if he does, you definitely, could have a success, for Vogelbach. Like I said, guys like Escobar, guys like Vogelbach, I get it. They've, haven't had the best of time with the Mets, but if they could change it out now, everyone will completely forget about how, maybe this pertains more to Escobar, but, when it comes to Escobar, this dude had a really rough season with the Mets for the most part. If he could turn it around and have a really great September and get the Mets in the playoffs and really thrive in the playoffs, I guarantee you every single Mets fan is going to forget how horrible Escobar was in April, May, the 2 weeks in June, and July and August. I get it. Escobar had like that one good Rangers series, maybe like that one good series against the Phillies, but really hasn't done a whole lot since. So like I said, if Escobar could change it around and have a really good September, I guarantee you 99% of Mets fans are going to say, oh yeah, no, he had a really great September. And that's all they're going to focus on. Yeah. So we'll see. I think that's going to be interesting to see how Escobar goes about. So super exciting when it comes to the Mets and Brewers. When it comes to projections, obviously, you hope that they could at least try and take 2 of 3. I know the Brewers are definitely still struggling for that playoff spot. Obviously, they are projected to win tonight's game, 50.2. So hopefully they could take that. Projected to lose tomorrow's game, and then projected to win game 3, 54.4%. So, like I said, 2 of 3, I'll take it. You look at the Atlanta Braves. I guess we'll cover the Braves a little bit, considering they are the team that they are trying to take the first place spot. The Braves are a game back. Braves had a pretty, much exceptional week compared to last week. 6-4 over the last 10 games. The Braves swept the Philadelphia Phillies. The few times Mets fans are rooting for the Phillies just did not show up offensively. I watched some of the Braves and Phillies game. Phillies just looked horrible offensively. No fundamental hitting. Simply enough, the bullpen blew away. Obviously, I think it was the second game or the first game. Bullpen just completely blew it away. Really, really rough series there, obviously. For the Philadelphia Phillies, another team that is kind of really dangling for that, playoff spot, as, they're still in the 5th seed, but Brewers only 2 games out from the Phillies. So we'll see. But yeah, obviously Braves are going to play a 3-game set against the Nationals. The Nationals have been horrible. They really don't have much, just got swept by the Padres. Braves I could easily see the Braves sweeping the Nationals. I would not be surprised. So when you look at that, the Mets really got to at least take 2 of 3 here so they can remain in first place, or if not, at least a half game. If the Braves lose a game and the Mets take 2 of 3, okay, we're still, in the same thing. Considering the Braves are facing a division rival, they're going to gain a full game. So Mets really got to, get stuff together when it comes to this Brewers series. Obviously, with the Mets and Braves division, that series is going to, in my opinion, I think be determined when they play each other. I think the Mets play each other. Mets and Braves play, I believe, September 30th and October 1st and 2nd. That's probably going to determine the division right there, unless, they have like a 4-game lead or whatever. So yeah, that is the New York Mets and, of course, the Pittsburgh Pirates series summary, and the New York Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers series preview. So we're going to get into some of your guys' comments, questions. If you have anything, drop it below in the comment section below. Don't hesitate. It could be about the Mets, the Phillies, the Braves, the NL East, whatever. Anything baseball related, feel free to drop it below as always. So let's get into your guys' comments, questions, and concerns. What's going on, everyone? Baseball is my air. What's happening, man? Alex, he says, I'm a Mets fan for the rest of the year. Hey, happy to have you, man. Gio, what's happening? Steven, what's going on? Steven says, hey, Hayden, you think the Mets should bring Alonso and Diaz and Nimmo and Jacob for long term? Yeah, so this is a 2-part question. Obviously, when it comes to guys like Alonso, he obviously has plenty of time. He's not a free agent until 2025. So yeah, it's not a top. Obviously Alonso is going to stay. It's, not a dire priority. It's something you definitely could address, maybe next offseason. Obviously Nimmo, Diaz, and DeGrom all set to hit the free agent market this offseason. So those are the guys you're really going to want to focus on first because of priority. So I easily could see the Mets bringing back Diaz, DeGrom, heartbeat, no doubt about it. I have trust in Cohen. I have trust in Epler to bring these guys back. They're going to give them a blank check pretty much. Really No concerns when it comes to that. And Nimmo's probably going to be the number one kind of guy. Oh, will he return? And I certainly think the Mets will bring back Nimmo. Whether a contract is 6, 7, 8 years, 170 to 200 million, around that ballpark number. No pun intended. I say absolutely. And then the second question is, should Steve Cohen make an offer to Judge? Yeah, I mean, Judge is having a phenomenal season. I think his value is going to be is crazy high, but I don't see why not. But I think the Yankees are going to re-sign him. Trey, what's going on? Kobe, Ibindo, Seth, what's going on, guys? One game, yes, sir, if they win tonight. Gio, Marco, Peter, what's going on, guys? Eric, Nick, Jose. Trey says, awesome. After losing 3 straight from the Cubs, we need the series sweep. Say, who did we tie with in most strikeouts in a 9-inning game? So this season, I believe the Houston Astros also struck out 10 batters earlier this season. So I think we tied them when it comes to that. Kobe, what's going on, man? He says, hey, Hayden, so happy the Mets have a win streak going on. Yeah, you and me both, man. I'm not going to complain about that. Jones says, why are the Mets getting hit by so many pitches this year? Yeah, obviously the Mets officially have over 100 batters hit. I think they have 101, 102. And, I think a big part of that is, you have multiple guys in this team who lean over the plate, whether that's Nimmo, whether that's Canna, whether that's McNeil. You look at their stances, they're really over the plate. So they're going to get hit a lot. If a pitcher's going to pitch inside to them, boom, it's going to hit them in the hands. And I'd say probably at least more than half of the hit by pitches have been on inside pitches that either hit them in their stomach or their left or right side that's facing the plate, is because they lean so on top of the plate. We don't really see, we've seen a couple guys get hit in the head, Alonso, Lindor, against shitty teams, the Nationals, the Pirates, whoever, teams that don't, their pitchers are nothing to rant about. They're, I hate to say this, but nobody bullpen arms who can't control their pitches. So, that's one thing. But yeah, I don't think it's anything intentional. I understand why the Mets have reason. It's dangerous. When they're throwing at their head, yeah, that's obviously a concern. So I see where the Mets are coming from, obviously. But hit by pitches are definitely going up around the league. I think no doubt about it. You look at the numbers, they're definitely still going up. But yeah, just simply enough, you have so many guys that lead, simply enough, Mark Canna, he led the league in hit by pitches last year. But then, you add guys like Canna, Nimmo, McNeil, who lean over the plate so much. Yeah, they're going to get hit a lot. And you look at it, a lot of the hit by pitches have been from the Nationals, have been from the Pirates, have been from the Cubs, guys that have, inadequate, that have an inadequate pitching staff. Cal, what's going on? He says, Mets can clinch a playoff spot tonight. Yeah, hope so, man. That is the goal. Kobe says, do you wish the Mets had Javi Baez this year instead of last year? That's a good question. Honestly, I can only imagine how Baez would have been on this team this year instead of last year. Just focusing on this year, simply enough, where would you have put him? Would you have put him at third and then just said, bye, Escobar? Would you have put him at second and then you move McNeil to the outfield? Okay, then that means either Canna wouldn't get the playing time or Marte wouldn't. So I don't even think they would have simply enough went after Baez this deadline with the talent they had. Simply enough, we know all about Lindor and Baez, the booing, the thumbs down, and just crazy enough how the Mets clubhouse has completely changed. Obviously, you have Showalter, so he obviously would have not tolerated that, but simply enough, it's just mind-boggling to see how much the clubhouse changed. Alex, what's going on? He says, biggest concern for the Mets in the postseason. It has to be the bullpen. I get it. I've said the Mets are, getting back Peterson in the bullpen. They're getting back, McGill and Lucchesi. I get it. But that bullpen still really worries me. Dolly Rodriguez, he had a great week. Okay. But Rodriguez has had a lot of inconsistency. Like I said, I don't trust many guys in this bullpen. I trust Diaz and maybe Ottavino, and that's it. Ottavino could have one unfortunate breaking slider, boom, home run. It's, thinking worst case scenario, but I really only trust 2 guys on this bullpen, which is Diaz and Ottavino. I really don't trust what worries about me with Peterson being moved to the bullpen, and I was talking about it a lot this week, is why would you move a guy to the bullpen who has a walk issue? We've seen Peterson. He, definitely has a high walk issue as a starter. Why would you put him in the bullpen when when it would hurt him more? Like I said, I'm trying to think of the word. As a starter, this is what I would say for Peterson. There's no room for error in the bullpen. You only get, an inning or two at most. As a starter, you can go 5-6 innings. You pitch much more. So when it comes to there being room for error, it's obviously going to hurt Peterson much more in the bullpen. So I worry, he walks two guys and then gets one unfortunate home run. Boom, it's a three ball game to whatever the Mets have scored. Or, let's say a walk, a hit, a walk, sack fly, boom, that's a run, little stuff like that. So I don't understand why the Mets did that. I get it, when it comes to the depth, okay, but kind of interesting. Luke Hazy, okay, I get it. He's coming back from Tommy John. That's what you should do. McGill, I get it. Coming back, hasn't pitched a whole lot this season. You want to take the Brewers approach of Burns and Woodruff and get his innings pitched up. I get that. Okay, but I just don't see that result, solving the Mets bullpen issues. The bullpen is really going to kill them, I feel. Matthew, what's going on? He says, Nito McCann. Yeah, they've been playing well lately to an extent. Peter, what's going on? He says, I really like Terrence Gore. I think the Mets should really consider keeping him, as he could offer great speed and solely be used for that. Yeah. I mean, like I said, the Mets, we kind of had it, whether that was Billy Hamilton in 2020. He's a great pitch runner. I mean, that's really the only thing you use him for. I mean, he only has, 15 career hits. I mean, doesn't offer any power whatsoever. He's not really a guy you'd leave in the batter's box unless it's, a 11-2 ball game and you're in the 8th inning and the Mets are winning, or vice versa. Yeah, you're really not going to use him for that, obviously. He's a pretty small dude, 5'7", 160 pounds. So that's pretty much what I am. I'm 5'8", 160 pounds, I think, also. So, I mean, him and I are literally the same height, identically, practically. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you use him for stealing bases. I mean, 3 stolen bases in the last, 2 appearances he's been in. That's what you use him for. I mean, this dude is yet to have a home run. He has, 1 career RBI with the Royals in 2019. I mean, maybe you could use him to walk, but stolen bases, that's what you use him for. I mean, 15 career hits, 43 stolen bases. That's what you use him for. Great guy. You're coming into a 4-4 game or whatever. Runner gets on. We saw it. Nito got a hit. He was the go-ahead run. You pitched, hit him. And what happened? He stole. Pirates threw the ball in the outfield, and he went to third. Little stuff like that is what you were going to use a guy like Terrence Gore for. And in the playoffs, that is important. Cannot not say that enough. Trey, what's going on? He says the X factor in the playoffs for our Mets will be the 7, 8, 9 hole of the order. Of the batting order, just watch, you'll see. Yeah, I think definitely the end of the order definitely could hopefully thrive, considering if you have Escobar, whoever else, and the catcher. I definitely think that could definitely be an important thing for them. Karen, what's going on? Kobe says the GOAT. Jones says Mets pitching came out to strike out. Nice to see the bullpen do their thing. DeGrom, hardest working ace with the Ks and the streak and the lineup, making sure they get the win. Yeah, once again, that's really important. Mets doing all those things is what would make them a really good team, in my opinion. DeGrom, he came out, he meant business. He was striking out guys left and right, and once again did a really phenomenal job. So once again, super happy that the Mets won yesterday's ball game, because it really would have been unfortunate if they lost after what DeGrom had done. Matthew says, hope Gore brings luck to the team. Yeah, he's definitely a cool guy. I like him. Trey says, has it really sunk in yet that the Mets have already won 93 games with 14 left to play? We all want the division, but what a freaking season so far. Yeah, it's crazy to think that, Mets fans are saying, oh, the season's over. Oh, my goodness. We already theoretically clinched a playoff spot. It's just not official yet. So, 93 wins. That's more than the 2015 team. That's, 3 or 4 away from the 06 team. I think the 88 team as well. What was it? 86, you won. What did they win in 86? Like 107, 108, something like that. So, you look at this Mets team having phenomenal stuff this year. No doubt about it. Cal, what's going on? He says, will Jeff McNeil win a Gold Glove or Silver Slugger this season? I mean, with his average, I think he definitely should win a Silver Slugger. I get it. He's not a power hitter, but bat-to-ball contact, and he's fabulous with that. So I think a Silver Slugger, I think, would be just more for the, the on-base, ability, the high average, high OBP. But yeah, I definitely think McNeil is an earning of a slugger. When it comes to second base this year, it's been hard. Albies, who usually is a great guy, has been hurt for all of it. Chisholm's been hurt for pretty much a lot of it. So we'll see. So I think McNeil could definitely win a Gold Glove also, considering, Albies has been hurt for a lot of this season. Chisholm's been hurt for a lot of this season. So I think they definitely would have been the one or two guys to take it. So we'll see. Obviously, Jake Cronenworth isn't really having a great year. He was it obviously last year. So, we'll see. Or give me 1 second. All right. Eric says, you should change your intro to Narco. Oh, yeah, honestly, I should. That or the outro, and I was honestly thinking of that. Maybe I do that for this offseason. I would easily change it to one of those two. That's actually a really good idea. Thanks for telling me that. I'm actually going to take that into consideration. Actually, I'm going to do this, actually. Take a picture, so I'll save it. Yes. I should honestly change it, not going to lie. Be a really good idea. Alex, what's going on? He says, which MLB team has been the most disappointing this year? White Sox, Giants, or other? Out of those two, I'd probably say that, I don't know, Giants. I mean, considering how many games they won last year, they really got screwed. So, I mean, really no doubt about that. The Giants are definitely there. White Sox just really had a rough year. I think they're really disappointing. I mean, the division got tighter, so I don't really think it's as disappointing. I mean, the Guardians got better. Twins definitely had a big bounce back season compared to last year. But I just think the overall thing that really killed them is the health. I mean, their starting rotation got slaughtered with injuries and inconsistencies by Giolito, by Lance Lynn, and it just really got to the best of them, I feel. So, I mean, yeah, we're honestly going to have to see how things go for them next year. Are they going to fire LaRusso? I mean, probably. I think he's kind of out of touch with a lot of the guys on his staff and a lot of the players. So we'll see. I think his time as an MLB manager is kind of closing down. I definitely think it is. So we'll see. But I would probably say the White Sox, if you want my honest opinion. Jones says 4 more wins and they tie the 06 and 99 team. 7 more wins and they tie the 88 and 69 team. Okay, yeah. So I was wondering that before, and Jones has answered that. So I appreciate it, man. So yeah, once again, crazy to see how the Mets are having a good year. Good to see Daniel Vogelbach have a good series against the Pirates. Yeah, and once again, Daniel Vogelbaum, yeah, once again against his former team. So kind of really good to see him provide some offense. He came into, offensive, great run creation, scored some runs, some homers, some clutch hitting. So once again, you're going to need that because, YouTube Productions, what's up? Christian, what's going on? He says Gore has 3 World Series rings. He has some major good luck charm. Yeah, okay, so maybe that's what you guys were referring to by good luck charm. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, he was with the Braves when they won the World Series last year. Hopefully he's with the Mets this year. Lane, what's going on? He says Max Scherzer is back with the Mets. Yes, he is back tonight. Good to see him back. Marco says, can't wait to finally see the Mets play baseball in late October. Yeah, likewise, man. Christian says, if the Mets hold on to take the division, the 5-day layoff is a bit concerning. If postseason history is any indication, 4 days off before playoff series is not an advantage. Teams come out flat. And that's actually a really good thing. Give me 1 second. It's actually a really good thing to mention. And that is one concern that I do have. I mean, because the wild card is now 3 games. And in the past, it was 1. So you'd really only have, 2 days off? Because let's say you're the American League. I think usually they'd be first. They'll be the National League and then the American, I think, or whatever. So you'd only have 2 days off. Now you're going to have 4. And I agree with you. Historically, it's proven 4 days rest, is hard. I mean, yeah, even if they keep up with their baseball abilities and performance, by training, whatever, I don't know. I agree with you, Christian. And I was saying that a lot when they changed up this playoff roster and how they said that, they're going to have the 3-game wild card. So I agree with you on that. So we'll see. I mean, I have trust in DeGrom, Scherzer, and Bassett, that 1-2-3 punch, if that's what it's going to be, which, I mean, the 1-2 is pretty safe. Questionable if Bassett will be the third in the playoffs. Probably. I think I have trust in them. I mean, all three veterans, I think they're capable of, getting time off and then coming back into a groove and grinding. We've seen DeGrom do it with injuries, Scherzer do it with injuries. So, yeah, hopefully. Michael says Mets didn't met this year like everyone said. Yeah, knock on wood, there's 14 games left. So, I mean, you got to knock on wood. But when it comes to it, yeah, they really didn't. And I think it's kind of hard to say. I mean, you look at last year. Last year was kind of different when it comes to the Mets metting, as everyone would say. You look at last year, and I mean, the NL East was just a crappy division. I mean, the Phillies were, 500 really for the whole season. I think they finished a game or two over, or a game or two under. Correct me if I'm wrong, something around that. Yeah, I mean, the Braves were really the only team that, they started off bad and then really blew up in the second half. They made the trade deadline moves and they blew up in the second half. They were playing, on below average in the first half, where the Mets were really just playing average, I feel. I mean, if the Mets were in any other division, they would have not even been a first place team for 100 and something days. Mets were average. And then, September came and they had that Dodgers-Giants series and it just crushed them. So, I mean, last year was rough. 2020, not even going to go over that because that was a crappy season. No one should ever use 2020, I feel. Well, for certain scenarios, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, 2019, Mets started off unfortunate, then blew up in the second half. I know people have always assumed that in their history, Mets are, a great team in April, great May, and then just wet the bed in June, July, August, and September. But, I mean, we've seen a lot of it. We've seen in 07 and 08, they do really well, and then they choke in September. We've seen it in 2019 where they started off really bad and then blew up in the second half. We've seen last year. So, I mean, the Mets didn't met. I mean, so yeah. I mean, like I said, it's new ownership. I mean, I knew this team would be nothing like they were last year. I mean, simply enough, I mean, Lindor, McNeil having huge bounce back seasons. I mean, new acquisitions in Marte, in Canna, in Escobar. I mean, it would have been much harder. And then everyone's saying, oh, the Mets are starting off well this year. They're collapse. I mean, it would have been really hard for this Mets team to collapse and still to continue to collapse with the 14 games with having DeGrom and Scherzer come back. I mean, that'd be so much harder. If you didn't have DeGrom and Scherzer, okay. But, yeah, Mets did not met. Kobe says, so happy that Eduardo Escobar is producing. Now more than ever, this is the most vital time. I agree with you. Like I said, I think this is the most important time for Escobar to perform. Like I said, he had a really unfortunate season for the most part. But if Escobar could thrive in September and in the playoffs, everyone's just going to think of that mostly. I mean, I would certainly think of that, and maybe a lot of Mets fans could just put, April to August under the bed, and you hope next year he starts off well and can continue to play how he is supposed to play. So we'll see. I mean, I really liked the signing of Escobar when it happened. It's been hard to defend him this year, it really has, but he's hitting the ball well now, and hopefully, he changed his stance. He came back from an injury bug and saw that guys like Vientos and Beatty were getting called up. And, obviously, that does something to his confidence, saying, okay, these young guys are, going to take my spot away if I don't produce. And look, he's been on fire since. So hopefully Escobar can continue to stay that way and really be a big, important asset to this team, because you're going to need him to continue to thrive. You really are. He's going to be a really, really important guy for this Mets ball club. Considering he's a switch-handed hitter, obviously that's really important. Obviously, Jones says in 2019 we were all ecstatic just to have a winning record, and we're happy to be in the hunt for the wild card spot. That ultimately went to Washington. Now we are a 90 win plus team with 2 weeks left in the playoff spot, nearly clinched. We are still whining. This team is good. Yeah, I don't know. Well, the only thing is Mets fans just want to win the division. That's overall. I mean, people have the mindset of if you don't win the division, then you lose the season. Then it's a horrible season. And this is what I'll say. Last year, did the Dodgers collapse last year because they didn't win the division? I mean, look at last year. Dodgers won, the Giants won, 107? Dodgers won 106? Just because the Dodgers didn't win and which team got farther, keep in mind, in the playoffs? Which team got farther? The Dodgers. They didn't win still they didn't win the World Series, but they got farther. So when it comes to, if the Braves, win the division by one game, the Mets failed. No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean the Mets are collapsing. You want to collapse, talk about that. I don't know, talk about another team. Look at the Yankees. I mean, if anything, well, I mean, Yankees are in a different situation also, but I mean, they've also been having a hard stretch. So it's not a collapse. You look at a collapse, you look at 07, you look at 08, when they just completely collapsed and missed the playoffs. Mets are making the playoffs regardless. Trace Canna is the most underrated player on the entire NL. He's top 5 in OBP. And what's the goal of every at-bat? Get on base or grand slam. Yeah, I really like Canna. I think he's a really good table setter. He's like a Nimmo. And when the Mets brought him in, I was really happy about it because, I said he would be a phenomenal table setter, and that's what the Mets need. You look at this 1-2-3, and it's filled with, obviously, Nimmo, Marte, Canna, McNeil, Lindor, all guys that could arguably be a leadoff guy on any baseball team. The Mets have, 5 guys in this lineup that could be considered a leadoff guy? I mean, crazy enough. And I mean, that's why so many guys are batting lower in the orders, because there's just so much depth. So I think it's good. I mean, like I said, the only thing is, just the power would be nice to have, but they're doing well. And like I said, you'll take it. Kyle says, how many home runs will Aaron Judge finish with this season? My prediction is 64. So he's at 59 right now, obviously 1 away from Ruth, and obviously 2 away from Roger Maris, 3 to beat it. And I think he'll probably get it. You say 64. I probably say 64, 65. He has 15 games left. So I think he'll probably get it. I mean, he's really having a phenomenal season with power. I mean, no doubt about it. He's been healthy and he's just hitting the ball really well. And I mean, the dude's raw power is insane. Opposite field. Say what you want, Yankee Stadium, whatever, but still, what this dude's been doing is insane. Kobe says, are you going to stream any playoff games? I probably will. I know I said a lot that I would stream games this season, and I haven't streamed a single one. I've just been, really busy, starting up college again and just work stuff going on. But I think if the Mets do make the playoffs, I'll probably stream. Maybe I'll stream all of them. We'll see. I honestly have to see how my schedule is and, how my time is. But I would definitely strongly consider it. Maybe an elimination game or a game 1. I definitely would. Jose says you need a good bottom of the order. Yeah, I mean, definitely bottom of the order is important. If you have a horrible bottom of the order on the team, then what good is that going to do? But I agree with you. I think right now, you're looking at Escobar in the 7th hole. He's been thriving. I mean, the catcher's offense has been definitely much better since. So I mean, you'll take it. You really will. But yeah, so probably gonna call it a stream here as we are a couple seconds away from hitting the hour mark. We are at the hour mark. So I just want to appreciate everyone for tuning in to the stream. As always, like I said, Mets Brewers tonight. Mets Brewers tonight. 3-game series coming ahead. So definitely taking 2 or 3 would be ideal. Like I said, week ahead, playoff races. Things are really going to be exciting. Really going to be big matchup. So yeah, like I said, gonna call it a stream here. I really do appreciate everyone for tuning in to today's stream. As always, like I said, smash that like button, post notifications, all that great stuff, comments, questions. If you're rewatching this, appreciate it as always. And yeah, like I said, if you guys want to follow me on any social media, I actually have this little thing now, Instagram and Twitter. So yeah, that'll just continue to slide. We could talk baseball or whatever I guess you guys want. So yeah, otherwise, yeah, I really do appreciate everyone for tuning in to today's stream. As always, like I said, we went over the New York Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates series summary, going over that. Yeah, so yeah, really do appreciate everyone for tuning in. And yeah, that's all I got. Till next time, baseball fans. See ya.